Hello. They see on YouTube you've less than 30 seconds to grab people's attention or they'll go and watch something else and not to swear in that time. So fuck it. I'll tell you what's wrong with motorsport photography in 2024 in a couple of words. People who are not photographers. If you want to know more, keep watching. If you're one of these easily bored YouTube fuckwit viewers who switch off after a few seconds, this is your chance to get fucked and watch something else instead. Right, now that the lightweights have done a fucking runner, let's get into it. When you pick up most of the major racing magazines, and I say most, not all, it's safe shots with no dynamics anymore. There's still some that put good shit out there, but racing magazines in general have become regressive with editorial decisions when it comes to photography. Pin sharp images! Formula One, that's the order of the day. Being able to see every last detail, even if it means that a car looks like it's been parked with that high shutter speed. It's used far more than in the past, believe it or not. I mean, this vid's hypocritical in a sense because I've just recorded another video about the importance of making sure if you're just starting out of getting all the basics in because that's what clients want. But the truth is, we all work to an audience who've become used to accepting what's served up to them. And the truth is, and this is from 40 years of reading magazines and whatnot, we can all do better together. It almost seems like, in a way, that the better the technology becomes, the less alive many of the images choose to become. Look, see if head-on shot at a high shutter speed or a 3/4 shot, that's what you see more often than not. And if we're being honest, the vast majority of people, I mean the vast majority, even though racing pulls in loads of photography enthusiasts, the majority of readers don't know whether you've shot with a DSLR or a mirrorless or a phone even. They don't care about shutter speeds and ISO. They don't care about technique because if they see it in print, it's printed usually on paper with a low GSM. If it's online, and even if you've gone out there and shot stuff using a RAW file, when it goes online onto a website, it's likely to be compressed to 0.5 MB anyway. And it'll just lose much of the lustre. I mean, I was recently looking through some books and magazines from the 1998 season. Not just Formula One, it was a different world. Photos, man, fucking sublime. It made you feel in the moment. Mika Hakkinen in the McLaren Monza looked like he was doing 200 miles an hour. IndyCar and Champ Car racing on the ovals looked as close and intense as it could be. Touring cars looked menacing, looked battered. It's not that photographers aren't doing that now, but with more choice, clients want all their sponsors, as I've said elsewhere, including the stickers, size of a pinhead on the car to be visible. Editors want you to see all the crisp details of the cars. Modern cameras do that with these. It's pretty fucking sterile. At the moment anyway. What's going on? It's the norm, it's become the norm. And the thing is, it's choice based because the images that accompany F1, using F1 as an example in some magazines, lack the dynamism that you see in the same issue when it comes to rally reports, because it's not because photographers in F1 aren't capable of producing that. You only have to look at the gallery section of GP Racing magazine, what some of you will have known it in the past as F1 Racing. In there you can see the amazing work that F1 snappers can and do produce. And it has me wondering, is part of it the camera? Is part of it the photographers who've learned, like me, who've learned the craft with the freedom of unlimited digital over limited film? I mean, in the general press, sports editors work with sports photos in a particular way. But sports photos in general run at different rules. I mean, you only have to spend 2 minutes hitting YouTube and watch advice videos from sports photographers. And almost everything they say with settings is the opposite to what a good motor racing photo should be. And a lot of photographers are hit hard in the bollocks by editors who cover sport, including motorsport, and running the same standards. And You're not going to shoot a static car for a magazine in the same way that you would shoot an air show. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the thing is as well, even with mags not doing the job that they could, they still run some proper racing photos. But that sterile and clinical edge, it bleeds into other things too. I mean, I was talking to a friend a couple of days ago who photographs for a couple of championships in club racing in the UK. He's not a full-time photographer. He covers these series for 7 rounds a year. And he gets quite well paid for it, actually. But he told me that he's shooting, which is standard I know from club racing, a 15-minute qualifying session and 2 20-minute races. And the strict, and I mean strict instructions from the championship are high shutter speed with laser-like clarity all the time. Qualifying, go to X corner and shoot all the drivers, get the headshots of them in the car because it's an open top series. Race 1, catch the start at turn 1 and stay there for the whole race, getting drivers in turn 1. Race 2, shoot the final corner. In both cases, get to the pits for the winning driver coming in, which is fair enough. Get the top 3 in each class when they're out of the car. Twice a season, those official championship photos might pop up, if he's lucky, in a magazine report from the meeting. Whereas other photographers at the same event are selling photos to those very drivers because they're shooting from more exciting vantage points on the circuit. And getting a few photos, usually unpaid, and very staid, printed in those same magazines. But he's getting paid properly to, in his words, produce boring shit for organisers who don't have a fucking clue. I suppose that's an extreme example because most organisers do actually know what they want. But I just wish that today people would realise that documenting and reporting racing through photography does not have to take place at 8,000ths of a second. I really wish editors and layout people in magazines would get that. I mean, we're trying to break that with Touring Car magazine. We're not always successful, but it's a main point for myself and the other 2 photographers who I work trackside with for the mag. It's not a hard concept to get around, is it? But also there's the other thing, positioning. But first, some numbers. And this isn't a dig because I love autosport, GP racing, motorsport news. I've got mates involved with all those publications, and I know other people who work there as well that I have a lot of respect for, a lot of respect. But they offer an illustration of how the sector works at the moment. I mean, I recently for a report went back and looked at photography in magazines following the week where Max Verstappen and Ash Sutton won the Formula 1 in British Touring Car Championships in my day job as a researcher within motorsport media. I pulled apart some magazines in terms of images. I've done it many times before, but the key for this was types of on-track photo used. Not photos of drivers out of the cars, not promo shots, not photos from photo shoots for feature articles, but photos actually of cars in action. That week, Autosport had 74 photos of on-track action from F1 all the way down to club level racing. Only 6 of those 74 were what was considered to be action shots with a blurred background. The rest were pretty standard. Now, you don't want every photo to be blurred and exciting. That's like living on a diet of cake, which is nice, but you need to balance it against a good amount of kebab and chips, like I do. Some people would add salad into that, but chili sauce is actually the key. I'm getting distracted now, aren't I? Should I order that? Right, get back on topic. Away from me fat belly. Motorsport news that week had 25 race photos. Only one of them was an action shot. That doesn't mean that all those photos are shot to give the park look, but a lot are. There are those in there with a little bit of motion. They're almost there. In the Motorsport issue out at the time, which didn't cover the F1 race that weekend, there were outstanding photos for features. But they are photo shoot content with loads of Lightroom work on them. The around 30 track action shots in that issue had about 12 that I think were photos that other photographers would go wow over, and most of those were historical or pre-digital. GP Racing magazine, different world completely. From the very start when it came out in 1996, it was about excellent photography. But apart from historic photos from the past, the majority of shots in the main part of the magazine, not the gallery at the beginning, which is fucking fantastic, but in the main part, the vast majority of shots are portrait shots anyway. Race car engineering, in their issue of that time, the rate of nice action photos was actually higher than most, and that was because they are selected from photos released for the media from manufacturers with huge PR departments. And that's an area where the best photography usually ends up, alongside photos of tech and components. As a quick aside, here's some photos from a 1997 edition of Autosport. 13th of November 1997, from that year. It was actually the issue where that followed Schumacher having just been to court for taking Villeneuve out at Jerez. So if you want to look it up, if you can, do. If you look at these photos in this context, you wouldn't see them used this way in stories that are similar. And the odd thing is, when I was doing my research, the corresponding week edition from 16th of November 2023 actually had a 28-page special covering racing in 1993, but the photos selected were not the type in the main that would have been selected in period. They were selected, it seems, by the criteria of today. Personally, I think we need to change it in 2024. All of us. I think we, as photographers, editors, journalists, art directors, need to bring the excitement back to race reporting and race news journalism. Yeah, okay, going back, it's old hat, what the fuck, this, that, the other. You pick up some of these magazines that are still going from 25 years ago when they were shooting on film. It's more alive, and it's not because it's on film, it's because of the choices that are being made. Because, you know, you've got to think at the end of the day, I know you're probably bored shitless if you're getting this far, but videos on YouTube, like I said at the start, purposely, they have to catch you straight away in the first few lines of the first few seconds. The art of the thumbnail on YouTube is an extension of using a photo for a web article or a magazine article. If it's shite, why would you click? Why would you read? I mean, I don't have the slightest interest in drag racing, but if I happen to see an exciting picture along with a drawn-in headline and see a motorsport magazine when they pull some of these brilliant left field articles out, I'm going to be more inclined to have a look. It's a basic 101 for fuck's sake. It's the same print or digital. But there's more. I think some photographers, including photographers that I know, are actually happy with the status quo. I know from experience that there's some bitching in motorsport photography. There's some absolute slack-arsed cunts who think they should just be given a shot at it. It's bollocks. There are people there who are also time served, who resent people who got the break 6 months after picking the camera up. That's bollocks and all. And there's people who get in early who think people at the other end are miserable fuck duddies. Not saying everybody, it is still a minority, but it's there. The thing is, motorsport's not a Bing Crosby movie where everybody smiles and dances in unison. For a start, the music in them films are shite, but there's some sly fuckers and some elitists. Most of us, and I mean most of us, are happy just to get along, but honestly, I've laughed my fucking massive man tits off at some of the sly and childish shit I've seen. I'm going off on a tangent here, aren't I? Yeah, I am. I've worked my fucking arse to get here, like most people who do. You know, I've done the club racing seasons where you work more than 30 weekends, put my foot in the door, kept it open, then got bored, so kept the fucker in and built a new door myself. And I forced the step up. Either way, it's what you have to do. And I think, you know, it isn't always glamorous. Long periods of doing nothing, being ankle deep in mud on a regular basis, finding that tyre barriers are excellent places for hornets and wasps to nest, being torn to shreds by bushes, dodging grass snakes, woeful toilet facilities. But I have seen with my own eyes, this is why this long rant here is coming, emails from photographers to people in PR, in the media, sorry, to people in PR and the media, slagging off the rivals. As an editor, I have had, can you believe this? I have had emails slagging off a photographer in a particular article. And that photographer's me. In the hope of getting me cut out. Total cunt of a trick. And usually it's from people feeling threatened. Well, 2 or 3 times for me, it's from people being threatened because they're happy to serve up the same cookie cutter blandness over and again. That crap needs to stop, man. For fuck's sake, man. But people making decisions need to become more adventurous. So what are we going to do about it? Me. I've returned to editing the magazine after 6 months away from it. Touring Car magazine, rebranded from Motor Racing UK halfway through last year. I wasn't happy with the way it went in terms of editorially selected photography a lot of the time. But this year, under my watch, the remit is to deliver exciting photography, even in race reports. Of course, it'll still be the head-on and high shutter speed shots to tell the story, but equally, we're going to bring the fucking excitement back in the printed racing media. Okay then, like, subscribe, share. I know some people like that buy me a cup of thing, but I don't drink coffee, so that shit isn't for me. Blah, 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 something or another, something or another. Fucking make a change.